Hey guys, welcome to day 2 of virtual learning with Mr. Winstead and Ms. Bridwell. We're coming to you live from the Johnsonville Middle School. And today we're going to go into multiplication. So this right here shouldn't be too difficult for you because we're just going to be doing standard multiplication, just kind of giving a review of what you learned in elementary school. So if you know how to do it, great. If you don't, we're going to show you a couple different ways. Ms. Bridwell is going to show you the lattice way or the box method that some of you may be familiar with. I'm going to show you the standard algorithm way, which is the way that we need you to start converting to if you don't do it already. It's much more efficient and much easier when you're dealing with decimals. So we're going to be in your maroon folder. We're kind of skipping around a little bit, so you're going to be, let me walk up here. You're going to be on multi-digit multiplication, 3-digit by 2-digit, and if you count from the front of your notebook, it's 6 pages back. So that's what we're going to be working with today. So Ms. Bridwell is going to first show you the lattice or the box method. If you're familiar with that, if you're not, disregard what she's going to do because we don't want you to do this for very long, okay?
Now, if you don't know how to do this, just ignore it. Okay, you don't need to learn this method over here. We're just showing you already know how to do it. Okay. So basically what they did is they broke down that 714 into 700s, a 10, and 4 ones. And then they break down the 79 into 70 and 9. Now, some of you, again, most of the kids that I've had in the past have called this the box method. I don't know what your teachers in the past have called it, but that's what I've heard it called. So the way you do this, so you did 7 times 7, we know is 49, and then you add your 3 zeros. Then we go to the next section. So 7 times 1, we know is 7, and you add 2 zeros. 7 times 4, 28, and we add 1 0. So that's how all those numbers come about. Now 7 times 9 we know is 63, and you add 2 zeros. 9 times 10 or 9 times 1 is 9, and you add your 0. And then 9 times 4 should just be a math fact you know is 36. Okay. Now at this point we have to take all these individual numbers in here and add them up. Okay. So we're going to take 49,000 and 700, and I'm going to go ahead, I do some of these in my head. So 700 plus 280 we know is 980. Okay. And then you've got 6,300, and you got a 90, and you got a 36, and we're going to add all those up. Now, this is why this method is not necessarily very efficient, because we tend to see a lot of mistakes when you're trying to add this many numbers. So I wouldn't do this method, but we're going to show you anyway. So zeros plus 6 is simply 6. All right, so 9 plus 8 we know is 17, plus 3 more gives us 20. We carry our 2. So 9 and 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. Carry your 1. 9 and 1 is 10, 10 plus 6 is 16. Carry my 1. 4 and 1 is 5. So we know our answer should be 56,406. We think. Now, it's easy to make a mistake here. So let's see how Mr. Winstead does the traditional algorithm. See if our answers match.
All right, so I want to kind of draw your attention a little bit how long that took her. That took a long time for one problem. You had to do 6 different multiplication problems. I mean, some of them are very easy, you can do it in your head, but then you had to add some very big numbers. So I'm going to show you what they call the standard algorithm. It's just, this is how I learned it when I was in school. It's more efficient, it's quicker, and it's a lot less mistakes that you can make. So hopefully you all have seen this and done this before, but if you haven't, we're going to try to walk through it. We're thinking in terms of these are the first time that you're seeing this, because unfortunately, without getting to see you and know you as much, we don't know exactly where everybody's at. So that's why we're going to do a few different methods to make sure we're trying to get you where you're at. So with the standard algorithm, it's much simpler. You look at the bottom number and you look at the ones digit. So in this right here, it's 9. So you take that 9 and multiply by every digit that's above it. So first, 9 times 4 is 36, carry your 3. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12, carry your 1. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 1 is 64. So I've eliminated that 9. I've multiplied it with everything and I'm done with it. Now here's the part where we mess up a lot, is because the 7 is in the tens place. So before we can multiply, we have to add a placeholder in the ones place down here in our problem. And then we can do the same thing. Take that 7 and multiply by all 3 things above it. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry your 2. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 7 times 7 is 49. Last step, add up and you're finished. So 6, 10, 14, 17, 16, and 5. So our answer was 56,406. Same answer, but this way right here, much more efficient, much less math, much less chance of mistake. So,
We're gonna
if
do,
you-
sorry, go ahead.
if you do it this way, that's fine right now, but over the course of the next day or so, I want you all to start trying it this way if you don't do it that way. If you have never seen this, never done it this way, and you're comfortable doing it this way, disregard all that. We don't want you to go back, we want you to go forward. So this is the way that we want you to work, because when we start multiplying decimals tomorrow, or probably not tomorrow, but the next week, this way right here is going to be so much more difficult. So this way right here is super easy, that way not so much. Okay?
We're gonna do one more problem, but we're gonna have a race, okay? I'm gonna do it the box way. Mr. Winstead's gonna do it the traditional algorithm way, and we're gonna see who beats who. Okay, now don't start.
I'll start. I'm competitive, I want to win. Here we go. We can't ride at the same time. Okay, we're gonna go to the whiteboard.
Oh,
We
okay.
can't ride at the same time.
You wanna go to the whiteboard or me?
I can go to the whiteboard.
Okay. Mr. Potts, can you get us both in?
Yeah, if you work on the, can you work on the right side, Kristen?
I will. I'm
And
gonna
then
win
Mr.
anyway,
Winstead will
so-
work on the dry erase board.
Alright, so we're doing number 3. Now give me time to set it up.
What's gonna happen is,
So 396 multiplied by 96.
let's start thinking about my math facts. It's a tough one.
I know. Okay.
On your marks, get set, go.
Don't be trying to mess me up talking out loud.
This is actually kind of nerve-wracking.
Uh-huh. Okay.
You can see that Miss Bridwell is working a lot harder because she's writing a lot more numbers. And Mr. Winstead's algorithm is going to be a lot more efficient. Mr. Winstead is done.
What?
If I'm correct. If I'm correct.
And Miss Bridwell has a lot of numbers on
Okay.
Oh, I am actually.
the
See,
board
it's-
for her problem.
When you rush through, guys, I'm gonna tell you this right here. When you rush through, you make mistakes. So I made a mistake on just adding.
And he caught it.
I caught it, but you got to make sure, and this is something that a lot of kids do, is we rush through because we feel like we know it very well, and we make silly mistakes like I did. So teachers make mistakes too. Don't make that mistake.
You get the same answer?
Got the same answer, but
And our
I
answer,
am the winner.
our answer is right, but that
So-
takes a long time.
So the reason we wanted to do that for you guys is, one, to show you how much harder she had to work to get that same answer. Now, math is a cool subject because there's multiple different ways that you can get your answer, okay? I'm not saying that this way right here is the best way and the best way for you, but for me, this works out a lot quicker, and I know from past experiences when we get into decimal multiplication, it's going to be so much easier for you, okay?
Mhm.
Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that, that's okay. We're actually going to get out of the comfort zone and try it and see what you think, see if you can get it down, because you can see how less stressful my way was. That right there stresses me out. There's a lot of stuff going on, okay?
All right, we're gonna do one problem, and we're gonna move away from the box method now. You're not gonna see us do this anymore, okay? We just brought that in to try to connect with what you know already. So you're not gonna see us do this way anymore. All right, we're gonna do everything else is gonna be the standard algorithm. So we're gonna do one more example problem with you. So back in your folder, we're done on this page showing you what to do. We're gonna flip over to the back side of that page. Now the back side does not have any numbers. So we're on your rows. You've got row 1, row 2, row 3, okay? Our example problem is gonna be row 3, and it's gonna be this very first problem, okay? We're gonna do that one with you. Mr. said you wanna do this to me.
I'll go right ahead. Make sure you can show them that you can do this.
That is so kind of you, Mr. Winstead. All right, so we're doing a 4 by 3, so we just want to make sure you know how to do this and give you an example before we turn you loose and have you do independent work. All right, so again, we're getting rid of the box method. We're going traditional algorithm. All right, so Mr. Winstead had originally talked to you about you have to start in the ones place. We're going to multiply that ones place by everything above it. So we know 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 9 is 27. Okay, so we're done with that ones place. And I tell my kids sometimes to mark it out so that you don't get confused. It's hard when there's a lot of numbers up there. All right, so we're shifting to the tens place. As soon as we shift, before we do any math, we always put that 0 in as a placeholder. All right, so 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 9 is 9. And we're done with the tens place.
Now right here, guys, is where you have to pay attention, because earlier you saw me put a 0 as a placeholder because we used the tens place. We put a placeholder in the ones because we didn't have one. Okay, so watch what Ms. Brewville does here.
All right, so now we're over here in the hundreds place. Well, if we're in the hundreds place, we've got to put not only one placeholder, but 2. So you got to put 2 zeros in before you even start your math. All right, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6, and 3 times 9 is 27. Now, it's really important, guys, that you're writing neatly, okay? Because if you're not writing neatly and your numbers are all out of order, it's hard to add. Okay? So 3 plus nothing we know is 3. 6 plus 1 is 7. So 6 and 3 is 9. 9 and 2 is 11. 7 and 1 is 8. 8 and 2 is 10. 10 and 6 is 16. So I know 9 and 1 is 10, plus 6 is 16, plus 2 is 18. You can add these in any order if you want. Now 7 and 1 is 8, and 2 and nothing is 2. Now that's a really big number. So we know we've got to put our commas in where they go. What is that?
2,886,173.
It's a big number. Now, although that was a lot of work, it is a whole lot less work than trying to do that in the box method. Okay? All right. So let us tell you what your assignment is. Okay? And this will all be written in the modules tab. Okay, so on the first page that we did, you're going to go back to the first page. You're going to do problems 5, 6, 7, and 8 on your own. Okay? And you're going to flip over to the back side, and these are the more the bigger numbers, okay, more complicated ones. You're gonna go to that second row, okay, and you're gonna do the first 4 problems in that row. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now, we know that there's problems on the inside over here that you really can't see. We're ignoring them, okay? So there's no reason to take your folder apart. We're just ignoring them. So you've got 4 problems in that second row. Anything else?
Well, just make sure, guys, as you're watching these videos, make sure that you are taking these notes, writing these things down, because when you go back to practice these, you won't have to go back to the video and try to figure out what you did. So make sure you're writing this down. Make sure you're keeping up with your homework assignments, because we're checking those, putting those in the grade book. So make sure you're checking Aspen occasionally, make sure all my assignments are completed, and make sure you're staying up on top of that, because that's going to be very, very important in the coming weeks. Okay? So good luck. If you have any questions, let us know, and we will see you tomorrow with our next video.